Hi, I'm Connor Sloman. I'm a farrier from Calgary, Alberta.
My name's Ashley Sloman. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, and I work with my husband at EquiTerra Ferrier Services.
You know, the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast.
Every horse, whatever it was doing, had a season. Once their competition season finished, they took the shoes off, they chucked it out in the field with some other horses, and it had a 2, maybe 3 months period where it went and remembered what being a horse was all about.
Even in a cheaper area, your prices should be set by your skill level, by your experience. And some people might not feel that they're worth, as much as others. But if you're only charging $160 to shoe a horse, then the only way you're making money is on your trims.
The WCB was a way to make sure that you kept the trade alive. I think I'm a custodian of the trade, so it's like we have to keep it going.
It was hard, but you adapt and overcome, and that probably gets to me where I am now. It's problem solving, horseshoeing's problem solving, and back in the day it was problem solving how to be as strong as the older apprentices. So it's all about adapting and overcoming, which was good.
I know we learn every day, but you do have to put yourself outside the box, and I'm just continue to learn, which is why I was just trying to do my fellowship, because I still have apprentices, and if I stay at my AW, I'm stagnant.
Welcome, everyone. A little shopkeeping before we start. Dr. Simon Curtis has a new webinar coming up very shortly on the 6th of September. The title of the webinar is Grip and Purchase, with speakers Dr. Simon Curtis and Paul Horner. Grip and purchase are affected by multiple variables: shod or barefoot, gait, the substrate. And that is before we look at trimming variations and traction devices. The huge variety and types of horses and purposes that we use them means that we have to understand grip and purchase and adapt our work to suit. This subject is at the very heart of our purpose. We need to understand it to perform our mission. As usual, listeners to this podcast get a discount when they type in Mullins, all caps, as the discount code at checkout. And included with your ticket is access to the live interactive webinar, which is 2.5 to 3 hours long, full video recording of the webinar afterwards, your questions answered in an open Q&A, certificate of attendance for CPD or CE points, and a PDF of studies, papers, and key takeaways. As I've said before, Simon has done a fantastic job with these webinars. I have found each one super informative and full of takeaways that I can apply in my day-to-day. For tickets, go to eventbrite.co.uk and search for Grip and Purchase webinar. Speaking of tickets, have you bought yours to England for the end of October? BFBA's Focus 2023 will take place Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 29th. There are multiple great lecturers and world-class clinicians, live demos, and a huge trade show full of shiny tools, so bring your spending money. Also, if you're in the neighborhood, you might as well arrive a day early so you can catch the International Horseshoeing Competition, where you can watch the best farriers in the world compete for the title of team champions. And now for today's episode. I ran into today's guests at the Hoof Care Summit in Cincinnati, Ohio, where, whenever possible, they have attended every year, as they find continuing education extremely important in their practice. I had first met Connor at this very convention many years before, where he introduced me to his father, Lance. And those of you who are avid listeners of the podcast will be familiar with Lance's episode from several years back. Unfortunately, we lost Lance just over a year ago, very suddenly. And as you will hear, Connor was left with a very large and successful business that he had helped his father to build up over the years. Connor's wife, Ashley, joined in to help, And now they are a husband and wife team carrying the torch of EquiTerra Ferrier services. For some context, you will hear me mention a horse park several times, and the horse park we are talking about is the infamous Spruce Meadows in Calgary, Alberta, where Connor and his father Lance had been the horse show farriers for many years. While Connor and Ashley have decided to focus their efforts more on their private practice and are no longer working for the horse show, you will hear how their unique experience of working there for so many years has really shaped their practice. They have seen some of the best jumper shoeing from all over the world, and sometimes not the best. And they got to see that shoeing in practice at one of the most prestigious horse shows in the world. As with many of the incredible guests I've been fortunate enough to have on the podcast, Ashley, Connor, and I have become quite good friends, and I always look forward to running into them at the various farrier events that bring us from across the country to the same locale. Incredibly kind, thoughtful, and always yearning for more knowledge. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. So you were at my booth when another farrier couple from Australia were talking to me. And then I've actually met, I think there were 2 other couples in the trade show that had come up. They worked together. I thought it was such a rare thing. And then you all congregated at Summit to hang out and share war stories, maybe. I don't know. But how does that dynamic work for you? Is it difficult? What are the pluses and minuses of it? Personally, I would find it difficult. It seems to work so well for you guys.
And that's the commentary we've been getting from a lot of people too is, oh my God, how do you stand each other?
Yeah, right.
But I think it's actually helped our communication improve quite a bit.
Right.
Because we are forced to.
Right. Yep.
You can definitely have some difficulties because we're different people and we have different opinions.
Yeah, of course.
On our approaches, but it's very helpful in keeping things organized and being on the same page about what needs to be accomplished and our goals.
I think for the most part, we are on the same page about a lot of stuff.
At the end of the day, your goals are aligned.
We're working towards the same good for our family, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which you're not always going to get when you have help, like somebody else working for you. They might have a completely different end game that you might not even be aware of. But
and that's the complaint we hear a lot is help is unreliable. And I was joking to him last night, like, I'm super reliable.
Yeah. It always shows up.
Yeah. And then we'd be remiss if we didn't mention your daughter. Working together, is it a hindrance or a help in also raising a daughter?
It can be both.
Right. Okay.
Right? Yeah, because this summer we were extremely busy and she got dragged along almost every day.
Yeah.
Except when I could find a play date for her or something. Yeah. But at the same time, she sees us working together.
Exactly.
And supporting each other.
And I think that kind of environment, growing up in that kind of environment too, like she'll be interacting with adults all the time. You see so many kids just staring at a screen all day, every day.
Yes.
And
we're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
I think it's been good for her in a lot of ways. She can be quite introverted, like her father.
Right.
And so getting out there and interacting with adults and other people is,
other
I think,
kids
is
too
really
sometimes
good.
at Barnes. Yeah.
You are introverted?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the first time I met you, you just walked right up and that's all I've ever kind of known you as.
He's come a long way.
Extremely.
Really?
Yeah.
I imagine working where you do, that is something you'd have to sort of break out of anyways. Or I was in horse trailer sales before I became a farrier, and I was very introverted myself. And it was either sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I imagine in your situation, it would be very similar. Like you're dealing with so many people and not necessarily ones you know and are comfortable with being at the horse park, right?
Yeah. It's been a long, slow process. My last name is Sloman. Yeah. When I started, I was about 19, 20 years old, and I started working with my dad. And at that point, I didn't talk to anybody.
Really?
I couldn't hold a conversation, really, until about 25 when I started to
Come out of your
come
shell
out of
a
your
bit.
shell. Yeah. But yeah, it's something I've obviously been self-aware of and something I've worked to improve upon. Yeah.
Right.
Because like you said, you have to interact with your clients more,
Mm-hmm.
especially as I got a larger role in our business.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's a very important part of being a farrier,
Yeah.
right?
I've run into several where they're really good farriers, but they hate people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are aware of that, so they have a very small clientele
Yeah.
list. They're loyal
Yeah.
because they know that they're good, but yeah, I imagine that's a hard way to accrue business. That wouldn't have been a
Yeah. It's better to communicate than to burn bridges.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Not always easier, but it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Describe how you came up, and then we'll bring you into it like as the story progressed.
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, basically. I had no path. And so my mom got tired of me being at the house, just doing crappy jobs. So she
As
said,
moms do.
Yeah. She said, go to work with your dad. So I started going to work with my dad. I had no intention of being a farrier. I didn't want to be one. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be a farrier now.
It was just like
It
a
was just-
thing to
that's-
do,
yeah.
placeholder.
Yeah. And I pretty much just kept doing it. So like, for the first, I think, 5 years, I just would pull shoes, clinch, drill and tap, grind shoes, pack and unpack. And because I never embraced it at that point,
Right.
I was very, not naive, but I took everybody at face value at that.
Right.
I thought
Yeah.
everybody was honest. What they said was what they meant.
Mm-hmm.
Took a while to learn that wasn't the case.
I had that awakening when I started working in the trailer sales
Yeah.
business, and it helped when I then got into this world, right?
It's kind of disappointing, but then at least you have a better recognition of things.
The
What's
authenticity
going on.
and yeah. No, but it is a rude awakening when you do think that the world acts and reacts the same way you would,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
wait a second.
So then, I just got more and more involved over the years.
At what point did you think, oh wait, I think I am going to be a farrier?
When I told you it was a great job to have.
When I met Ashley.
Yeah. And then how long ago did you guys meet?
2011.
Okay.
So 12 years ago.
When I met her, I realized that I was going to be in a long-term relationship, have a family. Then I started to take it seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until then, it was just a job.
Right.
Right. It was like doing any other kind of job. It was just to make money and do things. And then I knew that my dad was getting older. I would have to take on more responsibility too. So then I just started embracing it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, right?
Go all in at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And once you start learning, it just becomes fuel. The
It
more
almost
you
is
learn-
addictive, isn't it?
It just
You find
it becomes
rewarding
more
your
and
work.
more rewarding.
Yeah.
The more you learn, the more you can help the horses, the better you feel. Yeah. It's just
And you can
wonderful.
see it happening too. Like
Yeah.
the results of what you've applied, and it's
You
pretty
get
cool
instant
that way.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, so the first time I met you was at this in 2019, I think.
Yep.
And that's when I'd interviewed your father. You'd come up to me and you said, you should probably interview my father. And yeah, it was a great chat. I was telling somebody the other day, I just felt like I was sitting across from my grandfather.
Yeah.
Like we just, yeah.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Dad's favorite thing is to talk to other farriers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he would have been in a good spot to do that at Spruce too, I guess.
Well, yes. Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah.
At Spruce, there'd be anywhere from 30 to 50 different farriers come in during the summer series.
Holy jeez.
So, yeah, he knows people from all over the
He'd be there
place.
bright and early in the morning
Yeah.
every day.
Mhm.
And sometimes you'd have to remind him to come back to work. He's off chatting down the
Right. Yeah.
the wash rack area there, talking to different people, and the horse is standing there waiting. He always loved to help other farriers. He's one of the most selfless people in the world.
Yeah. I remember when I was introduced to him, Kathy and Tristan was here, and they both said like how much both of you had like just, hey, you guys, this is your first time here. Let's get you set up, and this is where this is. And I think I learned that before I even met you guys.
Yeah.
That was, the story of their trip out west, because it was daunting. They'd never been before, and it's kind of a big deal. And then you guys are just like, here, let us help you.
Yeah, there's another great farrier family in California, the Clarks. We got the same feeling when we went down there.
Oh, really?
You're like, well, I don't know. I've never been here.
Well, and
What's it going to
you
be
don't
like?
necessarily bring all your tools or
Yeah.
anything you're
Yeah,
familiar
exactly,
with. And
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
how?
They're all wonderful people, and they just, you need a tool, you need this, you need that.
Right.
Yeah, I've especially tried to keep that going. Yeah.
It can go very much the other way. I've been to horse parks where you're in somebody else's territory
Oh, yeah.
and you have to pass their gate or something and be allowed to be there, or you just get dirty looks all day or worse.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a very different feel than
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
That makes
exactly.
everybody grumpy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy trap to fall into because you want to be protective of your
Your business.
and
Yeah.
your clientele, but I forget who said that. Lots of people said this. There's more horses than you can ever shoe in
Yeah.
your lifetime.
Yeah.
You're never
You
going to
can't
be.
hoard them all.
Yeah.
And the nature of the business is clients come and clients go. You can't control what other people do.
No. I remember hearing a story from from Brad Davidson from the Professional Farrier Supply, where there was somebody at the track that was cutting everybody down and everything else. So they actually gave him a bunch of work and he just burnt himself out. Everybody that had a bunch of horses they did not want to do, they gave his number.
Oh, yeah.
And they killed him with kindness. And basically he
We know how to deal with you.
just ran out of body after that. And it's an easy trap to fall into when you get into that. And if you build your career that way, you're going to get some pretty terrible clientele too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are getting clients that are coming to you because you are bad-mouthing other people, they're the same clients that are going to leave you because
Somebody else was
Somebody
better
else.
at bad mouthing
Yeah,
you.
it's a nice,
Yeah.
nice
It was better.
karmic circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely works out that way. And then, Ashley, for you, how long have you been shoeing?
I've been working with Connor since the spring when we lost Lance. Part-time at first and then more full-time throughout the summer when things got insane.
Right.
But I started trimming because we have our own horses about 1.5 years ago now.
Okay.
Almost 2 years ago. Yeah, just so I could help at home alleviate that burden off Connor because it was always a struggle to get them done.
Yeah.
And then I started helping him trim the broodmares and the old retirees at Spruce and went from there. I love it.
You're full in too.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And I'm assuming not something you ever expected.
Not really, no. I grew up like I've always been obsessed with horses. And since I was 2 and my mom put me on a pony, words come out of my mouth, horse, pony. And I started riding at 7 or 8 and I have a hunter jumper background. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's how we met, sort of. We met online.
Oh, okay.
And but we both were kind of in the horse world, but in different circles, connected on that. And
Here we are.
here we are. I used to be a graphic designer, and
That's right. I was trying to remember because I remember when we talked in the summer.
I have an illustration and design degree, but I hated it. I would go and sit in an office every day and look out the window and just not want to be there. And I would call in sick and go to work with Connor. I'm happy if I'm around horses and I'm outside and I'm working with my hands.
And how was that for you? Like in the training stages for both of you, how did that work? it's tough. Like anytime you get somebody new and you're training them, there is a period where it almost you're set back a little bit, right? Because at time wise, you have to explain more and stuff. How did that work? Was it a fairly easy transition because you already have a relationship and some of the foundational communication stuff is already there?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Ashley's very familiar with what we do and how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
and
I
all
know
the
all the
steps and the
Yeah.
processes.
But to do it with your own hands.
Yeah, that's a whole other game.
Yeah,
right?
the mechanics. And
Yeah.
so that's good. But then it's also when you are criticizing or taking criticism from someone you know closely, it can be a lot more difficult.
It feels personal, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Well, and there's different teaching and learning styles too,
Yes,
right? Like
right.
I learn better when I can do it with my own hands because then I have that memory of doing it and it makes sense to me.
Right.
Connor likes to step in and show me how to do it.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I got to feel
because
it.
I have trouble verbalizing
Right. Yeah.
how, like, the procedure. It's easier for me to demonstrate it.
But at the same time, I think his instructional ability has improved
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's one of the things about having helpers and teaching people. It improves you as a person too, because you have to learn how to do something.
Give
Yeah.
fair, constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Being a teacher is entirely different than doing your regular job.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And when you're forced to explain why you do what you do, and you actually have to step back and think about it, like sometimes you
Maybe
don't have
that's
that
not a
answer
good
right
thing to
away.
do.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I've had a few of those aha moments, and it's because why do you want me to do it that way? And it's like, I can't just say just cause.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I'm very much like that. I'm like, why are we doing that?
mhm,
Tell me. Or could we do this instead? Wouldn't it be better?
right.
I might be a bit challenging that way too. Like we have to do the best every time.
But that just forces you both to step up the game.
No,
And
it's been good. We both learned so much.
yeah, I bet. Now, in your unique position with what you do at Spruce and meeting so many farriers from all over the world, you must see a lot of different stuff that the average farrier might not ever see just because of the situation that you're in. Have there been changes that you've made just based on stuff you've learned in your conversations or in seeing somebody shoe something at the park?
Definitely. Yeah. You can learn something from everybody, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What to do or what not to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that's one thing. Nobody is shoeing those horses the same way. There's some styles, like there's like a Florida style, there's a California style, but each individual has their own approach and it's different in Europe, but all those horses are competing at that level. So you go, okay, there's not any one specific way to do this, but you can learn and look at what's working for each individual and you can apply it to your style. Is how I look at it.
Right. So I've always assumed when I heard either the LA fit or Florida fit that they meant the same thing. But is there an actual difference between, say, Florida and California in that style?
Yeah. Prep and presentation too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like California style, I think would be more heavy on a buffer.
Okay.
Some triangular clips is a little stylistic thing that
Oh,
some
really?
guys
Okay.
I've seen come up.
Little LA bling.
Yeah. Yeah. The presentation is very important
Right.
in both worlds, but California definitely
It
a
seems
lot.
really.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense, I think.
And then Florida, those are more similar styles. I think because it's so close. Everybody's all there, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more similar. And that's one thing clients generally want is
Consistency.
consistency.
Yeah.
It looks like this.
My horse's feet can't look different from that person's horse's.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been a really great opportunity. I forget that sometimes, especially earlier in my career,
Right. Yeah.
that other people
That's all you knew.
don't see other people shoeing, right?
Mhm.
They just see their own shoeing. And so that can be an inhibitor of you learning, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people I talk to here at the trade show that that was their story. They lived somewhere that was kind of isolated, not many other farriers. I mean, some of the countries like Australia, they won't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So I heard even of like they'll walk into the farrier supply and somebody will just leave their coffee on the counter and go.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it's so in that environment, you can't pick anything up until you're like go online and look at stuff that way, or travel quite a distance. And then they're here just to soak that knowledge in. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's the only time they can kind of get it in person.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
tough.
yeah.
But we do seem to live, even where I am in Ontario, it's such a collaborative group.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
overall things are getting way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope those other countries, it just kind of, they see the example.
Everybody benefits from learning
Oh, yeah.
more, right?
Yeah. I think it makes life a lot less miserable too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not in this alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I became a farrier, my boss from the trailer place, he had said, like, that's the worst thing you could possibly do. I wish you were going to work for a different competitor or something like that. And he had one of his friends who had a farrier come out to his place, sit down and try to scare me straight. And he said, it is the loneliest job on the planet. He's like, my farrier comes in, we're not even there. He works on the horses, nobody talks to him, blah, blah, blah. And then when I got into like actually working, this is just before I started my apprenticeship, I was like, I've never met so many people in my life.
You're like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to start a podcast.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm going to
exactly.
talk to all the farriers.
Yeah. Watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it has been incredible how many friendships I've built up just through the common career we all have
Yeah.
and the passion for it.
Yeah. And you might not have the same interests outside of work.
Yeah, exactly.
Or beliefs or systems, but everybody's a farrier. We all experience the same hardships and jubilation when our horses do well.
Yeah,
that rewarding feeling. So you all have a common
Well, it's
ground.
the same
Yeah.
goal. Like everybody wants to do their best work and help horses. And
So, and it seems like you guys, every time I've spoken with you, you've either been going to, or you're at, or coming from some kind of a learning event, like a continuing education thing. So is that fairly common in your area, or is that something you always have to travel for? Or
It's common to have blacksmithing competitions in Western Canada.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very big in that area, but education in this style, like the Hoof Care Summit, is not very common. So you have to search that out online.
Right.
Would be the best. Although it looks like they're doing a good job of that. There's a new group, the North 49 Farriers group, and it looks like they have a classroom portion. I saw some
Oh, really?
pictures of that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
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 Just make it a little more rounded for everybody kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
we try
we
and just
love to learn.
learn as much as we can because that's what keeps you hungry
Yeah.
for more.
Yeah. When I stop working and I just become a horseshoe installer, that's when I get burnt out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And his mood changes.
Yeah.
It's not
And
good
then the
for
horse's
anybody.
mood
Yeah,
changes.
that's true. Yeah.
You're just working to get it done instead of working to get it done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do run into those guys when you say about being miserable. You run into some of those older guys who just like, I'm sure they're in a lot of pain too and stuff like that, but they're just, it's the numbers game.
I think it
That's
also comes from a lack of knowledge, right? Because if you don't know or you're not confident in what you're doing, you get upset.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You start judging yourself and then it snowballs into everybody's miserable all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I found the education side of the journey. That's what made me more confident and then improved all of those relationships because I could, instead of being defensive about, well, that's,
You can
Yes.
speak
I'm doing
to
it right.
and
Yeah.
explain it.
exactly. Yeah.
And that gives your clients more confidence in you.
Exactly. And then even being able to talk to the vets in a language that,
Yes.
Yeah,
both
that has been
speaking-
super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and what's that like in your area with vets and stuff like that? Is it a good relationship typically?
We're pretty
or?
lucky, I think.
I think for us personally, it's really good. I know that for other people, it's not good.
Right.
They have very strong opinions about that. But
We like talking to vets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even I've had situations where the vets didn't want to talk to me because I think they just expected the relationship to go the way it had with all the other ones, the other farriers. And I just kept insisting, almost like a stalker, like, hey, it's me
Tell
again.
me what you know.
Yeah. And over time, the ones that at first would just give you a prescription, not even describing why, just like, do this.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, they're unhappy with you. To now we just talking back and forth. And it's until you create that sort of that relationship, you aren't going to get anywhere with them. So there are ones where at first I would want to tell them to pound sand, and it seemed like a pretty caustic relationship. I would end up now like, we exchange Christmas gifts, and it's fun to run into them at a barn. I'll sit down while they're injecting a horse and say, hey, what do you think of this and this and this?
Yeah. You can help each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more you learn, I think the better it is for you and your practice. We can learn as much about the lower limb and the hoof capsule, but it's attached to the rest of the horse, right?
Right. Yeah.
And watching them work is very fascinating.
And when you start learning all this stuff, you start seeing more in the horses and seeing how certain injuries or areas of pain lead to
what's going
stuff
on
in the
down
feet.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is another kind of cool thing about where you guys are located, is you have that vantage point of being able to see them at work in the ring if you want, kind of thing. I don't know what the situation is like where you're positioned in accordance to the ring and stuff, but I imagine
we go and watch a lot.
Yeah.
One of the better things to do is to watch the warm-ups.
Ring.
Yeah. That's where you see the work being put in.
Right.
In the ring is good, but
You're often quite a distance away too.
yeah.
Right.
Also
Big rings. Yeah.
But you can see what each rider's doing in terms of their prep work.
Or not doing
How they
it.
ride
Or
their
non-prep
horse,
work.
Yeah.
How they react to challenges. How the horses react.
Yeah.
How the horses are being ridden. And that has a big influence on how the horse is going to go, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Now, I imagine in the summer, when I remember talking about this back in the summer, but you've got your regular book of horses that you have to do, and then you have this unknown variable of what's going to happen at the horse park. How does that work for you guys? How do you manage that and keep it all afloat?
This year was tough.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it was the hardest year of my life.
Yeah.
Before, with Dad and I, it was a lot of work, but we generally managed it pretty well.
Right.
This year, it was too much work. We managed to, I think, serve everybody at Spruce Meadows really well.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't manage to serve all of our clients to the best of our ability.
Yeah. A lot of
Right,
things
'cause
got pushed.
Yeah.
Right.
Or we
Yeah.
were working until 11:30 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
And you can only do that so long.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. When the off week came, which is our biggest week, that's when everybody wants to get their horses done.
Right.
I couldn't stand up straight the first 2 days. I
Oh, geez.
could only get like 3/4 up and have to use another device
Support system,
to leverage myself into straightness. So it was challenging, but it's extremely rewarding too. So I love working at Spruce Meadows. I don't know. There's nothing else like it except maybe like working at another horse show somewhere else.
Right.
You just have high standards that need to be kept. That's when my best quality of work, I feel, is. You're doing so much work. You're just on top of everything.
You feel like part of a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been more proactive in recommending things to clients. In the past, our approach is more don't change anything, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what people
Fix it, but
people,
don't change it.
Yeah. Right.
So we still kind of prescribed to that. You know, you have to defer to the people coming in.
Yeah.
You've just seen them. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
only
Yeah,
one.
you don't know
It's
the
only
whole
one.
backstory. Yeah.
You're only there for 5 weeks or 4 weeks. We now communicate things that we see and make sure that they're aware of it. I think that's our job as we're here for the horses as well. So we need to speak up for them because they
nobody
can't
else is going to
communicate.
advocate for them. If we see something wrong, we got to say it, right?
And often the clients don't know because nobody's told them.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important.
Right. So, and I imagine that it puts you in some sticky situations, does it not? With the other, like the at-home farrier, or does it not?
It's not necessarily that the farrier is doing anything wrong. Like it can be, right? The mechanics are not working for that horse, but that's what the client has asked of their farrier to do, right? In most cases, or the team, right? But it's just important to point out that there are these things going on with the horse. I think
It's
if
stuff
you're
that they can
like,
see, and
and I say discuss it with your farrier and your vet and your.
Or sometimes you discuss it with their farrier, right?
Yeah, Dave sent a. Dave doesn't travel anymore, so he sent his horses.
Dave Farley.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they came up, and I did all their horses, and I would see something. I'd talk to Dave.
Right.
I have this idea. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea," and we do it. And
Cool. Yeah.
But being open, right? Communicating.
Yeah.
What everyone keeps saying.
There's no
communication for the benefit of our horses.
I just want what's best for the horse, and I want them to perform well. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do so much for us. Like we have to do our best for them too. Yeah.
For sure. I found at the end of a podcast, people are like, I wish we'd talked about this, or you'd asked me about this or something. Is there anything that you guys think is important, worth sharing, that you, any soapboxes you like to stand on, or?
Maybe about the mental health side. I found it to be very challenging at times in my career.
Yep. Likewise.
The long drives, especially going home at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Your podcasts have helped with that.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason I started the
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
It's very easy to get burnt out, I find.
Well, and it's hard when people don't take your advice either. And you've recommended something that could help a horse.
Yeah.
And people don't listen to you.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah, it's
is really
disheartening.
hard.
Yep.
Really hard. Because it's not your horse. It's
Mhm.
out of your hands.
Yeah.
But at least if you voice that to them, at least it's off your shoulders.
I found that too, like the burnout in this job, because hiring and being fired is a pretty constant thing looming over you. You tend to work from a sort of a fear-based place. So you take on everything that comes your way. You don't say no very often.
Yeah.
And that, I think, does put you and set you up for those burnout times. Like it's the nature of it.
You put so much of your heart and yourself into your work.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to take it personally.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you're doing the absolute best you can. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's completely out of your control.
Yeah. But still doesn't make it
Easier.
easier.
So what are some things that you found that helped with that? Like those downtimes you were struggling
Learning
with?
more.
Yeah. Continuing education definitely helps with that because it keeps your brain motivated. Sometimes I'll just have to take breaks though. Too much farrier stuff.
Yeah.
You become
do something
obsessive, right?
different.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I become definitely obsessed with topics, and you're just like, it's all you think about constantly. So then
Up
you
at 4 o'clock in the
need a
morning,
break.
Writing a paper in your head.
Ashley and I take, before COVID, it was monthly date nights and experiences. That really helped with our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're thinking about something that's not just work. Although often I'd be in the middle of enjoying myself and I'd be thinking about
Cubs over
horseshoeing,
there.
and
Hello.
client experiences. But at least
you tried.
Yeah. At least you're doing something else. Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in everything, but we do have really amazing jobs. We do get to choose who our clients are in a way, a lot of ways. We get to work outdoors. We get to be at a different place almost every
Yeah,
single
it's
day.
not so monotonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to work with the best animal on the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
She never gave up that.
No.
Ever since saying horsey and pony.
Yeah.
No, that hasn't changed, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. If you take time to be with the horse,
Yes.
that's important too.
Yeah, I know there were periods when I was just nose to the grindstone, and I could recognize horses by their feet, but I didn't know what they looked like.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait a second. Yeah, there's this whole other creature up here. We're supposed to be getting along to get this done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and if you just take that time to greet them and see how they're feeling and assess them all over, and it helps so much. Yeah, you'll be safer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that would be a thing that we'd like to talk about too, is putting horsemanship into your work too.
Yeah, that's kind of been a big topic here.
Yeah. Well, I was really excited to see that they had already
Made that part
thought of that.
the
Yeah, because
summit.
I've had that thought too. A lot of farriers work with horses, but they're kind of working
Against them.
against them and or
They're
around
fighting.
them. They're just foot to foot to foot, and they're not interacting with the horse. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of bad things. A lot of people get injured. Other people put in dangerous situations. Ashley's helped me a lot with my horsemanship.
Right.
'Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah. When I started, Dad was a farrier, but horse things were not part of my life, right?
Yeah.
So when I started, I didn't know how to put a halter on a horse. My friend Patrick had to teach me. He sent me down the aisle to go get a horse out of the stall at Spruce Meadows.
Which way are these
I came
buckles?
back. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to. So he had to come show me how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, I've had to learn about dealing with horses, being around horses, dealing with horse people, because that's a different
And a
experience
whole other
too,
challenge,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, the body language, like yours and theirs, means so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When that's the way they
So-
communicate. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I've gotten better with my horsemanship, my safety feeling has improved with the horses
Mm-hmm.
because I can pick up on things way earlier before it becomes an issue.
They don't
Yeah,
ever they
right.
don't ever kick without a warning.
Yeah.
Right.
You get like 10 warnings. And
Yeah.
if you miss them,
That's on you.
yeah. They're very forgiving.
Yeah. For horses to let us do all this stuff is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've always thought that, like, who was the first goofball
Yeah.
who ran up to a horse with a burning hot piece of steel and was like, let's see how this goes down.
Yeah.
And then kept at it. Yeah.
They're incredible.
No kidding. To get us here, right? This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tectorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. Enjoy. What's your favorite book?
My favorite fiction book is Gone with the Wind.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was the movie as good as the book?
No, it's not.
We have a dog named Rhett, and our daughter's name is Scarlet.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all making sense.
It's all
now.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm a romantic at heart, so I like that side of it. But I think the book shows you a lot of aspects of humanity and how great things can be achieved, like that culture was built on the backs of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's great doesn't mean it's right. So
Right.
It teaches us that side of thing. Teaches you, struggle when things go wrong. You have to persevere and work through difficulties to get yourself back up again.
Yeah.
And to appreciate the people you love and not let little things divide you. There's lots of lessons, so I think that's why I like that book. Yeah.
I basically just grew up reading horse stories. Shocking. So now I read horsemanship books,
Okay.
horse training books, horse anatomy books, hoof care books. all of that stuff. Yeah.
It's just a genre.
Don't really have
Yeah.
one favorite.
Big wide
yeah.
scoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horse.
Just put it on the title.
Yeah.
And Ashley's going to buy it
Yeah,
on Amazon.
my eyes will go there. Yeah.
Favorite brand of nails?
I don't nail, so that's a him question.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because I'm sure some of them you'll have different opinions and others you might be the same thing.
Yeah, I tend to use mustad concaves the most. That's my go-to nail. But the Liberty hybrids are very similar nail.
Mm-hmm.
That just the crown is a bit different.
Okay.
The mustad concaves, you can drive them kind of high and then they'll curve. And so I like that feel.
Yeah.
Right? Other nails will drive quite straight. They don't have that bend to them. I guess I think that's a Farrier only.
Yeah, it's hard, right. Yeah,
you can't like.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but
Brian.
Good luck
knows.
explaining it. I'm not going to try.
It's a podcast for farriers. You're probably fine.
Yeah.
But I do think there are some horses where they don't like the knocking and stuff. But sometimes I think it's just the nail is too thick. Like it's pushing out. And I like the concave nails because they're so flat
Yeah.
that they do seem to drive up with less sort of issue. Like the horses aren't telling you as much.
You can
as
feel
you're
it
doing it.
like
Yeah.
as you're doing it.
Yeah. And when I'm working on ponies, especially the little quadruple aught feet, those ones, it doesn't matter what I've used the smallest nails I can find.
Yeah.
And they still, they're upset about it, but they don't they're never lame. But at that time, I'm like, it's probably just because it's pushing your white line so much. But listen, buddy, you won't have any feet if I don't put these on you, kind of thing, right? So, yeah. So, what shoe sizes do you generally have to stock the most of?
3, definitely.
Really?
Run through that the most. Yeah.
And would that be like a Kirkite 3? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite make of rasp?
Furred, the 14-inch furds. Yeah. Was the Heller XL for a long time, but then Charlie bought me a case of the furds. I do like these a lot. Yeah.
What size am I using?
14.
14.
Yeah, he bought me the 17s.
Yeah, we started with those, and I was like,
yeah,
this is a
hard
sword.
on the
it's
shoulders.
a two-man job,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a little wide. Yeah, long. Yeah.
Need both arms in full motion.
Maybe it's better for your shoulders. I don't know.
Maybe,
No, it was not.
It's not. No.
You're banging into the poor horse's leg.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What is your dream farrier rig?
Oh boy, we talk about this all the time because
Do you?
yeah,
Really?
'cause
I think we have a pretty good one. It just
Yeah.
needs some upgrades.
ours is
Which is getting done this week.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
friend Spencer's upgrading it right now. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah, I think about it all the time, right? Like every system has its drawbacks. Dad and I had tried almost everything, like cargo trailer, horse trailer with the portable in it. So you just roll out the portable and to go in the barn because you can't often park inside barns sometimes. We got like a Stonewell body on our truck right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
your dually because you have more space, but
Yeah.
then you
But
can't go in the barn,
Yeah,
right?
it has
Yeah.
its
No, I like
setbacks
that
too.
ours is compact because it fits.
After this year of dealing with the fuel prices and stuff, I'm going to downsize at
Yeah.
least one of the trucks and see how that goes. But yeah.
I think full body on the truck is probably your best system. Yeah.
You get kind of spoiled with it.
Yeah, he keeps running these little minivans by me, and I'm like, or the cargo vans. I'm like, no, we don't want that in Alberta. No.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like,
Yeah.
in the
right.
truck with the body, you almost always feel safe and you can go pretty much anywhere. You got 4-wheel drive
Yeah. Right.
and you're comfortable too. Like that's the other thing. Like I'm a taller person. So
Yeah.
sitting in the 2-seater vans, doesn't sound very good.
No,
well,
we get
don't-
sore in the truck.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, don't move to England then.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll like it there. Favorite rounding hammer?
J Sharp.
Oh, okay.
But I don't use it because that was Dad's hammer and gave it to my mom to keep. Yeah, but that was Dad's favorite hammer. Yeah.
Favorite type of bar stock to work with? Do you ever get into handmade stuff? I can't remember if I asked you this.
That's one of my things that I really regret not working on in my career. So I'm not very good at making horseshoes and blacksmithing.
Well, in all your spare time.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, when I was young, I was too dumb and I was off doing things I shouldn't be.
Oh, we all were there.
Now he's got commitments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that I want to, I work all the time and I have a daughter to spend time with. So I find it hard to balance that. But I have been working with aluminum a lot more. I find that really nice because it's almost like sculpting because it's so soft.
Right.
So you're just like patting it around and you can constantly move it back and forth. And so I've been enjoying that.
You're actually one of the first to say aluminum. So
Yeah.
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 We're starting a new trend.
You are. Favorite pastime after work? Sleeping. Music?
Music, reading,
Now listening to or playing?
listening to. We have no musical talent.
Not even combined? No?
No.
Two-part
I learned
harmonies?
Jingle Bells on the guitar once, and that was it.
That's all you need to know. You'll be a party hit.
Video games have been good and bad because I have like an obsessive personality.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
I tried that. Well,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this would be a good way to just kind of de-stress from the day, and then it'd be 3 a.m. I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a point
So-
of contention.
Yeah.
But
So it can be good. I've worked hard to
he's earned his downtime.
regulate
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the few times where I don't think about work.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I can just concentrate on that. So that helps. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love spending time with our horses.
yeah. I'm really surprised by
keep
that
me
answer.
Are you?
I was just going to answer for you, but
I go out and like tinker with fences on the acreage and fix things, and I'm always trying to like optimize their living space, and yeah, that's what I'm passionate about.
okay.
Making sure they have a good life and learning everything I can, and yeah, I read the horse books and
Right.
look at hoof pictures on my phone incessantly.
Well, at least between the two of you, you would understand it. I'm sure there are some couples where one is a farrier, one is not, and they're just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Why aren't there more pictures of me on here?
Yeah.
No, just feet.
Yep. Obsessive. Next thing on your bucket list.
There's a festival in Europe called Tomorrowland. I think we'd like to go to that.
That's an electronic music
Yeah.
festival, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we do on our date nights.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
It's good energy. It's good. It's fun to just go dance and forget all your troubles.
Yeah. And I've only been to Europe once. So I'd like to
That'd be a
go
good way
see.
to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where in Europe is it?
I think it's in Belgium.
Oh, okay. Cool. There's another, it's all types of music, but there's one in Iceland I'd love to see. But it happens in October, so it's kind of a
Yeah.
busy time of year for all the farrier things.
Yeah.
But they and it's a lot of acts from Europe
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
come to
Cool.
it, and then so I think they call it Soundwave.
Let us know when you're going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll see you in Iceland.
Yeah.
You just have a little longer trip than I do to get there. Favorite brand of keg shoe?
Oh, they keep changing.
Mhm.
For the longest time was the Kirkhart DF. And that's probably the most widely used in hunter jumpers. Yeah.
I would agree.
Pretty good standard horseshoe. We're pretty lucky. We have so many options now. I started using the handmade sport horseshoe.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen them yet. I know they're available out your way.
They're quite nice, but they have a new model and the larger sizes only come in 10 mil. So
Oh, okay.
now I have to rethink what I'm going to stock now. Meister by Kirkhart is really good shoe too. And you can change the hind shoe into a front shoe if you'd like to.
Right.
And so then you can just stock hinds. I know a couple of farriers that do it that way.
Just so they're not carrying so much inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've often thought about doing that, but haven't done it yet.
I just carry everything.
Yeah. Same. Real minimalist.
Yeah.
So what's your ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day?
4 is a good number if you want to be relaxed and just take
Having
your
a stressful
time.
day, yeah.
Yeah, we like to assess each horse and come up with what we think is going to be best for it. So then you have the time to do that. At the shows, 8 is a good number. You can get them done. You're not there too long. Once you start going past that point,
It gets a little.
Lose track of all things.
Yeah.
your body starts to fail and your concentration starts to fail, right? Yeah.
Brain and body start to shut down. Yep. Favorite anvil?
I use a coal saw in my truck for everyday shoeing. That's a really nice handle. Nice horn. And then we have an Emerson in the shop. That's really nice too. Although it's magnetized. It's kind of
Is
annoying.
it?
Yeah. So until it heats up, your shoes kind of stick to it. Yeah. And I don't know why that is. Just maybe the way it got shipped or something. I don't know.
Oh, it's always been that way?
Yeah,
kind of thing?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I've heard rumors of anvils or just legendary stories where somebody's just used the anvil so much that it magnetized. I don't know if that's actually a true thing but
it came that way.
Yeah. Well, it saves you having to clamp it down if you've got it on a metal stand, I guess. Favorite inspirational quote?
I looked this up to see if it was attributable to anybody, but I think about it a lot of the time, and it's perception is reality. I think that can be applied in a lot of different ways, because often the way we think about something isn't how somebody else thinks about it. And so you can apply that to lots of the things that you're doing, like how your shoes look is how the client will perceive it, how you carry yourself and interact with people. That becomes their perception of you. Yeah, with me being quite introverted and not wanting to talk to people,
Yeah.
I've learned that people will tell me, "Oh, I thought you were this grumpy, angry guy." Because I just walk around.
Come see, come saw face is too intimidating for people.
Intense.
Yeah. Probably because he's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thinking hard.
yeah, I'm constantly thinking.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, I like that one just because you can apply it to all aspects of your life and your interactions
It's true.
with people. Yeah.
I like that one too. Do you have one?
I have so many quotes saved on my phone that are inspirational. I can't remember any of them right now, but there's one, I think it's Maya Angelou, something to the effect as do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. So, yeah, just keep learning and keep improving yourself.
Do you guys have a Farrier Terrier?
We don't
We have a setter.
generally bring our dogs with us. My dad, he did for most of my life, but now I think it's just too much to handle for us.
Yeah, you got a lot on the,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah,
go.
our dogs are
And-
old. They prefer to stay
and-
home and sleep
yeah.
on the couch.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they can become a liability too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want
a lot
anyone
of
to
it
get
is-
hurt. We
yeah.
don't want our dogs to get hurt or lost. They're not good at sticking around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because as a kid, I would go with my dad and see how my dog interacted at different barns and stuff. And
Right.
sometimes it was good, but sometimes,
Yeah.
especially with other dogs,
Yeah.
it's
It just was
not
a
good.
toxic
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a
'Cause
lot
you're
of barn
bringing in-
owners have a rule now. They don't want you to bring your dog.
Yeah, and that would be almost every barn now has no outside dogs, just to
Yeah. Avoid all of those situations. If you're stumped on a case or need backup, who do you call?
usually no one because I just I'm very
You just get your
stubborn.
thinking face on. And,
Yeah. I go and research it
Yeah, we
and think
research a
about
lot.
it and look for references of past cases and how people do things, watch videos.
We
That's
spent a
how-
lot of COVID just watching webinars and videos and just absorbing information.
we live in a pretty cool time where
Yeah.
that's so much of that information's available
Oh, yeah, it's
to us.
fantastic. Yeah.
Sometimes it can be too much, but
I should reach out more, but that goes back to my nature of
well, I appreciate the honest answer. Do you have a favorite shoe or package for a mystery lameness when the client either doesn't want to pay for the diagnosis or it's kind of they haven't been able to figure it out?
Leather pad with the soft hoof packing is a really good option because you're supporting a lot of the tissues, soft tissues, like in the caudal region that generally aren't supported. And yeah, you're just minimizing the impact.
Sharing the load.
Yeah,
exactly.
with the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's one of my favorites too, like go-tos.
And it's not too drastic of a change in any one direction, right?
Yeah, that you're worried that
even a firmer packing, it will be too much. Yeah.
What do you use as your planner?
I use a note-taking app on my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I'll make lists of what we've done that day and write notes under there regarding each horse. That helps me remember both in terms of like assessment and what we did and also in terms of billing.
Right.
So you're not like,
what did we do today?
What did we do this week?
I think I'd put 4 shoes on that horse. Maybe only 3 this day. Google Calendar for scheduling our appointments.
Okay.
And then that way it's on both of our phones. And yeah.
I wondered if you guys would have
I also
like
have
that.
a whiteboard calendar in our kitchen where I write everything down because I'm a visual person and I need to just see it all there in one spot. And sometimes he has to come and ask me what we did. And I'm like, I'll check the calendar, the written calendar. Yeah.
Yeah. In order for your system to work, you actually need to do it.
Yeah, that's see, I tried the whiteboard thing and then only half transferred it from my notebook and half to the board. And that was not a good system for me.
He does the digital one. I do the written one. And together it works.
It works out. Yeah. You almost have a backup for your backup.
Yeah.
Favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
We do have a bathtub now. For a long time, we didn't.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love a good bath.
Yeah. That is really good. It just allows your muscles to relax when they just won't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Massage too. We give each other massages.
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
I like a little bit of cannabis on the weekends. Helps.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're allowed to do that in Canada.
Yeah, in Canada, we're allowed to do that.
And some of the states. It's funny how many farriers I've spoken to where as it's become more accepted in their states, it's now an option that they're using, right? And people that it would surprise.
It's a much better tool than alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'll speak about that for a little bit. For a long time, alcohol was what I would use. But I was an alcoholic for a long time.
Oh, really?
At the time, I wouldn't have described myself that way, right? I would just go shoe horses all day and then go to the pub after and drink. But it had a huge effect on my personality and behavior, and your body eventually. Yeah. It gets to be too much. So moderating that has helped my body's ability to recover.
Right.
Yeah.
You hear about some of these people who barely drink water all day, go home, drink their face off every night. And I'm like, how did they get out of bed the next day and do it for years on end?
After becoming a parent, it's like, that is not worth it.
Yeah.
You can't be hungover the next day because you have to get up and be someone else's caregiver.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No one's coming to look after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. This question, I have a feeling I already know what the answer is, but favorite genre of music?
Yeah.
Broadly, electronic music. And then you could go into...
There's so many subcategories.
Yeah, there's so many subgenres that you can get lost.
Right. Do you have a favorite song?
I have a favorite artist.
Who's that?
His name is Gareth Emery.
I'll look him up.
Yeah, you should. Makes beautiful music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with like a happy, feel good
vibe
is really nice. Or like a transformational kind of
message to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What would you have been if not a farrier?
Something else to do with horses.
Surprise again, everybody.
Before I started working with Connor, I spent a year working with a horse trainer, starting some young horses and working with some problem horses. And so, yeah, something along that avenue
Right.
of horsemanship.
I really have no idea. I'd still be lost in life.
Yeah. I feel like I'd be the same.
Yeah.
I had a very similar sort of situation to you. Like felt like I was drifting. I did jobs and did them for long periods of time, but I was not happy in them. I always was looking for that next one.
Yeah, that was me too.
The answer, right?
I've always been into art and stuff, so I was kind of pushed in that direction and went in that direction because it made sense at the time. But when I got to the end result, being a graphic designer, I was miserable.
And that's tough when you've put, like you've committed.
Yeah, I went
lot,
to school.
Right?
I worked in the industry for like 7+ years, and I was like, no, this is not for me.
Yeah, that's a tough one to give up after you've committed that much to it. And then the COVID question: if you were stuck in a shop with somebody for a month, who would you want to be hanging out with?
Actually, well, I think Yogi Sharp would be
an
interesting one. Yeah. I like all the different aspects of the biomechanics that he covers, and learning more about that would be pretty fantastic.
Yeah, you could spend a month with him for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I've thought about it a lot.
You're right.
Yeah.
Listen to your podcast.
What am I going to say to this answer?
Yeah.
Well, I pick my dad. I miss him a lot.
That was my first thought too. Yeah.
We sure miss him.
Well, thank you very much, guys. This has been awesome. I'm glad we were able to make this work. So
you're welcome, Brian.
Thank you.